All right, we are live. Welcome to HR Blenders. This is our second episode. I'm Clonetta Frazier, the HR Whisperer, and I'm here with Jazz, the Life Engineer.
Yes, yes, yes. So excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So,
Second
how
episode.
has again? There's so much that's happened. I think in the last couple weeks that
So
we
true.
can talk about as far as HR blunders that we're watching around the world. But how have your last couple weeks been?
It's been interesting. It's been interesting, and I think the topics that we're gonna dive into tonight are really spot on for what's been going on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Um,
and this week already has been a crazy week. It's Tuesday, but my God, it has been off the chain, like for real.
yeah,
I guess just first, because I think everybody has had exposure to this. Um, we have had a lot going on in the U.S. government, actually globally, not just the U.S. government.
right.
There's been a lot of change, and even some of that I didn't really think about it. Um, you know, for this discussion, but some of that is, I think, HR blunders, right? Like there's a lot in the U.S. government agencies that's going on as it relates to how they are restructuring some of the organizations and posing actions and things like that. But I was talking to a colleague the other day, and I was just referencing some of the things like I've even had to do or execute, in my past. But I think what's missing is the change man. Like there's absolutely no change management whatsoever. Like it is literally like just, trial by fire, right? Or look, get down or lay down. It's kind of
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
it's
yeah,
going down, right? And
yeah,
I think that that is like I said, some of the things are, I think, regular things that both you and I have both worked in the private sector versus public. I did work or have a stint in the public sector, which is very different. It's extremely different. So I can only imagine how much of a cultural shock this is, like to people, to their central nervous system, to their lives,
yeah,
like all around. Because you do have someone that's coming in and trying to run the organizations like as a business. And
yep,
I have a level of appreciation for that, right? Finding efficiencies, streamlining processes, and things like that. But there is not any evidence of like a change management expert, like in the mix, with the organization or with the group, with the administration that's helping to guide like some of these changes. And so folks are just having to deal with it as best as they could. So yeah, I just I don't know. I don't know. Well,
yeah. That's so true, and I think one thing that helps me. I always continue to remember this, and it became really prevalent during COVID. Was I mean we have to always remember that the only constant in life is change,
yeah,
and I think if you continue to remember that and focus in on that, it really helps you um, as a person to manage change. And then also, thinking through our serenity prayer and really thinking through the things that you can truly control. Because I think that that's where a lot of people right now are in a very trying time, is because they're really trying to manage things that they have no control over. And man, that really drains you.
so
It
what do
drains
you
your
mean
energy.
that they don't have control over?
Um, so if we're on the same topic of
Yeah,
maybe the government workers and what's going on, and I don't work in that sector, but I do work for a government contractor. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's still kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
so um, the thing is, from day to day, we don't know, what's going to happen with certain services or sectors of the federal government,
Oh, yeah.
with like the Department of Education. I mean, so people that work in each of these departments are kind of, fearful and scared and on pins and needles on, what he's going to decide today, right? And the bottom line is we have no, or those people have no control, all of
Mm,
us, I mean, but these people in particular have no control over if he's going to tell them today, stay home this month. We're trying to restructure, you
mm,
know. So the right thing to do, and I learned some techniques with this during COVID. The right thing to do is to ask ourselves the questions: what do I have control over?
yes.
What things can I be working on now? If he has given us a 15-day or 30-day hiatus, what could I be working on to
Hmm.
improve my marketability, my skill set, my life goals, etc.? What
Yeah.
can I be doing with this time if
Yeah.
he has put me on a break, right?
Yeah.
Um, what are the things that I can control? What are the things I can be doing in this? Because I think that we don't, a lot of us don't think about that. We just get focused in on what's going wrong and the
Exactly.
problem.
Yeah.
And I just noticed during COVID that was something that I had to do, and I ended up accomplishing more things than I ever imagined during that time because
Mhm.
it was a worldwide timeout. And
Yeah.
so, well, what can I be doing in this timeout? Boy, I had all these ideas and things I wanted to do that just had been sitting on the back burner. I started, working on that stuff. I had the time now, right? Because so many other things were canceled.
Yeah.
But yet other people spent the entire time worrying, right? Worrying about what was going on, watching the news, building up and being in fear. Um,
Mhm.
they didn't take the time, to push forward and move their life and their agenda forward. And I think that's the challenge. I tell people, we have to be the CEO of
Of
our
your
own
life.
lives.
Yep.
You
And
know,
sometimes you need a board of directors, right?
yeah,
I used to do a training around that for people that thought that they might want to move up into the executive ranks because I don't think there's enough conversation about what that means. You give up some things, there's
yeah,
some give and takes, right? It may mean less time with your family.
yeah,
You're on the road a lot more, right? Longer hours in the office or really being on call for the most part 24/7. And I don't think people really have enough conversation around that. They see all the perks, they see the big houses, the, you know, luxury cars, the, oh, you're taking your family on this trip, but they don't, I don't think, have enough appreciation or understanding of what you give up. So in one of my roles with a company, we created a whole presentation around that and around having your own board of directors for yourself, for your life. Like people that are going to tell you the truth, that are
right.
trusted individuals that are going to tell you the truth. Because sometimes you need somebody to tell you, baby, you don't need to wear that no more because it doesn't look right. Like it's too tight. It's not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you do need to have someone tell you, hey, you need to step it up. Like I remember in my 20s, and sometimes people would laugh, but I still, like, it was an MLM. Like I was in college and it joined an MLM. Like, I've always had multiple streams of income. I'm always going to have something. And I remember this guy that during his training, he was a professed millionaire. He had done well, went high up in that organization. And I remember him just telling us point blank, he said, if I ask you to go somewhere with me, like to meet with potential clients or things, he said, you need to make sure that you have jacket that has lining in it. So he basically was saying, don't come here with no cheap suit, right? And again, like you might think like, oh, that doesn't matter, but really it does, right? Because it's about how you present and
Right.
how you show up. And there is a difference. But if you've only been around people that are wearing remember the store's dots and stuff like that, no, like seriously, for real. And it made me really look, and I'm like, oh wow, like it really is a difference. And that has stuck with me for years. Right. Shoot, honey, I'm knocking on 50's door, you know. And so no, seriously. So for all these years, like that has really stuck with me
Yeah.
because it really does, like, I'm like, wow, like it really does, kind of make a difference, and you can kind of see.
Hmm.
Um and so I think that not enough people have those trusted individuals in their lives. Or, there comes a point too where I think, where probably you and I are at. I know, like for the last several years, like I don't mind paying for information
Right.
and data points or paying for coaching where you need somebody to just, keep it real with you and talk
Hmm.
to you, you know.
Yeah.
And again, on topic, like, or off top, it might not be fun to hear. And that's why I love, like, that book that you'd introduced to me last year. I actually have it on my little coffee table here, The 177 Mental Toughness um,
See.
Secrets of the World Class.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, it's some of the things you read there, it's like, it kind of takes you aback, right? It
Yep.
makes you look, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Like, again, you need to like have somebody that's going to help you elevate, because if you don't, then you stay stuck. And
Yeah.
then you wonder, why is life passing me by? Because,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, the only thing constant is change,
Yeah.
especially now, and it's changing at lightning speed with all the
Yeah.
technology, right? Like even our currencies, the way we're operating and
Yeah.
moving, and there's still people sitting on the fence talking about, I'm scared. I don't want to. Ooh, like I remember I had years ago the opportunity to like jump into cryptocurrency before hardly any people were talking about it. I'm talking like 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Hmm.
And I had the audacity on my high horse of morale because I was listening to the wrong people. And they were saying, oh, crypto, it's being used for like black market things,
Yeah.
undercover things, for things that are illegal and unsavory. And I realized several years later, after I started to see how it was moving, and I said that was so ignorant, because people are using USD for the
Yeah.
same things. They're like
Right. I guess that's what I always thought when they. Yeah.
all kinds of other stuff, but they've always, tried to have that negative connotation with
Crypto.
cryptocurrency, because it was something that wasn't able to be controlled or tracked as closely, right?
Hmm.
Now, again, with the blockchain and the advancements of that, it actually is serving to be one of the more secure forms of exchange,
Yeah.
and not only currency, but people are even doing contracts. They're buying houses.
Yeah.
Like this whole Web 3D thing is blowing up. But I do, like to your point, like with the folks, especially in the government jobs, again, I think that you have to take control of your own life. And again, like if you know that there's change going on within your environment, like make sure that you are doing things so that you can land successfully.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Are
think
you being
that's the. I think
responsible
that's the point.
of it? Are you,
Hmm.
that's the key.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the point. I mean, and I have a course too that I teach on that of you are the CEO, you are the boss of your life, and basically what we have to understand is whether we work directly for the company or not, we are a contractor that is providing our services to the company. This company has their particular rules and their different strategies or whatever,
Yeah.
and as long as that's serving us, then that's fine. If
Yeah.
those rules and strategies change, then we have the absolute right to go look around for a company that's more in alignment with
Exactly.
our goals and what we're trying to do. And I think that's where people miss it. But just like you have that, one-to-one relationship there, it's my responsibility as the contractor to understand industry trends, understand where my skill set is going, what direction that's going in,
Mm-hmm.
understand what new skills I need to learn and fast, right, to
And
stay
if a
marketable and
robot is going to take
competitive.
your job, like that website that you showed us.
Well, yeah, and that's just like the meme that I was talking about Luca. That's exactly what we're talking about. I
Let's
mean,
let's go to that. I'm just going to share this real quick so you guys can see what we're talking about as well. Okay, so first I need you to tell me who is Luca. I need.
uh-uh, Luca Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, so he was there, like franchise
Okay.
player. He's like the face of the team. And they just up and
Okay.
traded him to the Los Angeles Lakers. And I mean, here in Dallas, we are having a fit. These people are like losing it. And
Oh, really?
so,
Oh,
and so what does it say? The Dallas Mavericks traded Luca, and you believe you are irreplaceable at work. I mean, and that's what it is. I think, and they interviewed like KD and all the stars, and they
hmm.
were saying like, man, if it could happen to Luca, it could happen to any of us, right? And so that's the point. I mean, I think this is a basketball reference, but I mean, it's something that can be used for all of us. It's something that we all need to keep in mind. Um, these companies are businesses that are wanting to do a job and stay at a certain level of return on sales and certain market ability. And if you are not producing, you can be gone, no matter the years of service, whatever. And I try to always keep that in mind and ensure, to the best of my ability, that I'm adding the value that I need to be adding,
Hmm.
for the level, um, that I am in my career set. And I think that's something that you have to think about. You need to be thinking yearly about, what are the roles and responsibilities, of your title, right? And how are you executing to that? Are you executing to those roles and responsibilities yearly? And I think a lot of people don't think about that. We go through, because it's kind of this time of year where we go through the appraisal process and all
Oh,
that,
yeah,
right?
the performance.
And people get so pushed out around, right, about this stuff, this time
Yeah.
of year. But I mean, you have to really, honestly take stock in your skills, and understand industry trends. That's our job, as the contractor, to understand industry trends so that we can stay on top of the skill set that we need to have,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
to stay marketable, right? So I think that there's onus on the company, but then there's also onus on us. And I think that we don't always, as the employees, understand what our role is.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, and there can be other things too, like where, you know, the organization may get sold or bought out, right? Or there
Right. I
may
mean,
be
those, yeah.
something
And
and you
yeah.
really have no control. So
Hmm.
no, you always should be managing your career. So I think this is a wake up call for everyone, right? Look, everybody can get it, right? And the same, even if you are in business for yourself, I think that for those one dimensional people, hopefully this will be a wake up call for them. One, so they can stop hating, but two, so they can actually begin to expand their mindset to become multidimensional. Because when you have multiple streams of income, and multiple areas where you have money flowing, then you don't have to get uptight because maybe one area happens to be going through a change or a restructuring or a shuffle, right? So that's why some of us, like with the market, crashing essentially this week for sure after the announcement of the tariffs, and some of us, like in my like immediate circle that actually trade and such. Again, like we know, like this is okay, this is good. Like, oh, like we have our list of okay, I want to go get some more eggs, whatever, and going and purchasing those stocks, right? Or I'm
Well,
watching,
I mean,
I'm waiting for it to go down just one or two
yeah.
more,
Well, the bottom line is, I mean, when you truly understand the market, it's on sale.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on sale.
Yeah, and
So
so,
yeah,
like even in again, it's just because people will say, "Well, what do you think about the economy? Is the economy bad?" Or again, it really depends on what side you're on and how you positioned yourself.
yeah,
And so, you just again, it's more fun to be in a position where it's always a good time. You know,
yeah,
like there might, like I said, when you have things when you're multidimensional and you have like the multiple streams of income, or what have you, again, you can kind of flex like, know what? Right now is not the season that I need to put my efforts and focus here, but I need to divert them over in this arena,
yeah.
right? And then, once you get that either stabilized or if that starts to slow down, then you can ramp up in another arena and what have you. So no, so I think that's great. Now, on the other hand, I think another thing that was kind of, again, it caught my attention, and you can probably guess why. Let me just share it once more. And this happens to be with LVMH. I do own some of their stock, so that's one of the reasons it caught my attention. But of course, LVMH owns the Louis Vuitton brand as well as Moet, like some of the
Yes,
others.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
so that's one of the things that we are seeing too, which is kind of unheard of. A lot of the fashion houses, that's what they're called. So like your Chanel's and things are actually doing layoffs for maybe, I don't know, in some cases the first time ever, like in history, or in some cases the first time in a long time, right? Because typically those like high level luxury retailers, they've enjoyed the luxury of not really having to be swayed by the market. So
Yeah,
whichever,
they're more insulated from market fluctuations because
yeah.
their clientele is wealthy, and so yeah.
But this is a sign that again something different is happening
Hmm.
in this economy globally, that we just haven't seen before, right? But also, it caught my eye through my HR lens because LVMH actually had some layoffs that they implemented and rolled out within their organization, and the CEO actually told the employees, the individuals that were impacted, that they weren't being laid off; they were being promoted outwardly. And I thought, wow, that's a different take on it. Now, initially, when I saw this, I thought, who is their HR person? Like, who thought this was a good idea? Because when you think about it, for the most part, it's retail, right? So you
Hmm.
do have, again, I know there's higher levels, but on the front lines, you have your retail clerks, your SAs, so the girls that are into that, you have your SA, your sales associate, but your folks that sometimes they don't really have a lot of training in other areas or degrees or certifications, and so it becomes a little bit harder to pivot. um, and so for them, especially in this world where typically these industries or these organizations don't experience restructurings, it I'm sure was a huge blow and a huge shock, right? And so now they're left with, okay, now what do I do, right? In an environment and a global economy for whom is being kind of touched and impacted across the board. So it's not that, okay, well, let me just run over to this other industry, because I think what's different this time around, or at least right now in this immediate season, is that almost all industries are being impacted, right? And
Hmm.
I think that some of that is temporary. And I think that, once we get through a couple of things, like there will be a little bit of pain, but I think that, we will begin to see certain industries begin to thrive out of this, right? and really survive. And for some, again, it's a wake up call to them to tighten up on their processes. Again, like we know, Tesla um, has really, held a place in the market, right, with the electric vehicles.
Right.
Well, I have really been like over the last couple of weeks, I have been really so impressed, and I've really been studying um, Ibrahim Traore
Okay.
over in Africa. Okay. Um, what is Burka or Barak? I think it's Burka Faso is the actual country that was impoverished. He actually took over rule from the previous president, who actually was. It's actually pretty, a spicy story when you get into it. Who was his cousin or what have you, and he saw he wasn't running the country right, right, and I think even maybe taking advantage like of his role in the
Oh,
resources. And so he just took over. Like he's a military commander, and he took over, booted him out, and took the role. But I will tell, and I'm sharing this because I want to bring some solace and some comfort, especially to those in my community, because I'm African American, I'm foundational Black American, and like through these last few weeks, I've talked to some people, and I've literally heard the quivers in their voice, right?
mm.
I wanted to shake them like virtually because they're quivering and worrying about things that you weren't even benefiting from the stuff, no way, right?
Mm.
And so you're focused on the wrong thing. And like I mentioned, like there have been so many opportunities that have been missed because you have folks sitting home worrying, or they're on Clubhouse in these groups and having these conversations about how they're being done so wrong. And oh my goodness, all the next 4 years. And you're missing out on all of these like booms, right? All of these opportunities. Like you could have been stacking some money, some paper, and so you're in the wrong rooms, you're having the wrong conversations. And but long story short, he took over in 2022. He saw that again they had all these relationships, or they didn't really have good relationships with like France and all these other countries, European countries that were utilizing their resources. They were one of the poorest countries over in Africa. And in 2 years, he turned that country around where they are now in the black and they are thriving. He went in and he's doing some of what we're seeing Trump do. And I know there's an adversity to Trump, and I was telling someone just the other day, when I look at it, I almost feel like he's trying to copy a little bit. They always try to look at people and try to, oh, okay, let me try and do this. But no, that man went and he renegotiated those contracts, or just told them, no, if you want to still do business here, no, you're going to pay us more. Like these are going to be the rates. Like you're no longer going to be paying our people pennies and using all our resources. And yes, they are ticked off at him. They are highly pissed at him. But like I said, in 2 years, 2, that man has made that country profitable. Now, what came out this week is they released that they actually have built their own electric vehicle that rivals Tesla.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
the report that I saw about it says it's actually better than Tesla, and Elon Musk needs to take note and step his game up. And when you think about it, yeah, they had all the resources there, right? Because that's why all the other countries were coming there and, had the folks mining and stuff like that to get their resources to use, like for the fuel cell batteries and things like that. And so, again, with the right leader that had vision, that had tenacity and the boldness, and didn't care about who he was going to tick off, which is highly risky, because his life is, I think, in constant danger.
Yeah.
And shall I mention, I think the young man is only all of about like 33 or 35 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so I applaud him. Go ahead, Ibrahim Traore. And I encourage you guys, like, research him, like, research what he's doing. And I think it will expand your vantage point, because it's going to be easy, especially in the, coming recent years to come, to get caught up in some of these conversations, some of this downtrodden behavior with individuals that are ill exposed, that are not well read, that really just kind of are surface individuals. Because if you're looking at some things on the surface, especially what, is happening today, then you will have one opinion. But when you're able to look at it at a different purview, in a
Right.
layer one or two deep or below, then you see like, oh. And the reason that I think that, again, I think that Trump is taking some cues from this young man, because Trump did try to reach out to him and he curbed him. He was like, no, I'm good. like,
Mm.
and so, you know, so I do feel like he, like, because people, they've been watching again, like over the last 2 years, because I'm sure they've had exposure to him, because it's been all the talk, like with France, with the, France leader and stuff. There has been quite a bit of tension because, again, those countries went for years being able to just use these people, right, and leave them in complete despair. And 2 years ago, you had somebody come in and stand up and turn that whole thing around. And
Really great.
yeah, no, it is. Like I said, it's a story that I wish was more like being pushed and put out there more and more. But that's one of the things, kind of to go back to your point around, like, are you going to worry, or are you going to like search a little bit deeper and take control of your own situation? Like, what knowledge are you pouring into yourself so that you can make better informed decisions and make them from a global perspective, because we're global no matter where you're sitting in this country, right, or in this world. We cross lines globally like so easily now because of the technology,
Yeah.
that we're utilizing. I have individuals just within my organization, you know, like I'm talking from South America to Africa, right? Because again, I have them working together. And I was going back reviewing, like one of the young man's, he's actually in Medellin, Colombia. And, I've had him doing some interviewing for me with folks that are over in the continent of Africa, with a couple of the countries. And I heard him say, oh, I want to go to South Africa, and I just, my heart smiled, because I thought, wow, the exposure. Because for the last few weeks, like, he's been talking, and again, like, you're on video and on Zoom, and I believe you can have connection with people. I know there's a huge push, around to get people in the office, when we talk about like the office business HR stuff, because that's the argument, that you need to be in an office setting to connect. And again, like, I've worked with people globally well before COVID, right? Sometimes I was just sitting at my office doing it, but I had people that reported into me, whether dotted line or directly, like all over. And
Hmm.
and then now, like, that's just how we work and operate. And I feel like there is, like a closeness, right? But it is a different skill set that I think
Yeah.
has to be taught when you talk about managing people remotely and globally, that that gets you results that otherwise, in absence of having those skill sets, it becomes a blunder, an HR
Yeah.
blunder per se. Yeah.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
really true.
definitely. Definitely. All right. And so I know we had a couple of other topics that we were going to touch on as well, right?
Sure. We were talking about crucial conversations
Mm,
and crucial conversations in the workplace and why they are important.
okay.
You know, one book, if you do struggle with crucial conversations, one book I would say to pick up is, it's a book called Crucial Conversations: Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High. It's a really great book. I actually um, had a training class on it years ago, and it really helped me a lot.
Mm,
So I would definitely suggest that book. Um, it's,
yeah.
yeah, highly beneficial. Um, it's really really good if you struggle with having those types of, excuse me, those types of conversations.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
what do you think are some crucial conversations? Because I think that's important to kind of identify. Some folks are clueless and don't even know, and
okay.
then there's others that are just so risk avoidance and also conflict avoidance.
Yeah, I think any conversation, again, kind of like what we talked about last time, where your performance is on the line and people's thought process of your performance is definitely a crucial conversation that needs to be addressed to me, because it's allowing the wrong perception of you to continue to fester.
Mm.
So I think anything that is disparaging your work, character, um, you as a person in the office, that could be detrimental to your advancement, to your continued employment. I think all of those are crucial conversations.
Now, how soon should somebody get ahead of that or address it?
I try to nip it in the bud as early as possible, because I mean, because I mean, just one person getting this bad idea and they just go out and start
Yeah.
telling everybody, and it gets up to your, upper management, and then I mean, it can really mess you around. I mean, I've seen so many people let go over, things like that. I mean, it's just somebody gotta be in their bonnet about something, and just went up the ranks with it, and next thing you
Mhm.
know, the person is laid off. It's like, dang. I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm for nipping it in the bud as soon as I see there's a issue. Me
Yeah.
personally.
No, I agree. I think that sometimes, and this is like, so on the HR, I'm going to give the HR perspective, right? Sometimes when folks finally show up in our offices, it's too late. They've let it
Yeah.
go on for too long. And at that point, also, because of, regardless of like the microaggressions, the additional stress that they've been under, the internal self doubt that it's created within them, sometimes they begin to perpetuate what is being said about them.
Mm,
Right. And so then, again, if they do have a boss that, um, has been trained to document things, now I have documented data points that show me that there are some issues here. Whereas, like, again, like maybe perhaps when some of this started to happen, the individual may not have had those traits. But I think, sometimes people think they can just handle it themselves, or they don't want to say anything, or they don't want to come to HR. When they say, oh, I don't want to go to HR, when really you should. Because, like I said, when it gets to a point where it gets too hot in the kitchen, sometimes that actually might be too late. And the reality is you might have actually began to fall into some of those behaviors that are being said about you, or that are being sometimes not even outwardly said, but um, kind of alleged. I
implied, or
think I
yeah.
shared maybe on the last show about kind of my experience that I've witnessed, which happens all too often. Sometimes it's not even them actually directly saying anything about the individual, Jasmine, but they will say these phrases that are left to the imagination, but they let you know that there's something wrong about this person and I should be on alert, and I probably don't want to work with them and probably don't want them on my team. So here are some of the phrases. They will say, oh, there's a lot of noise out there about Jasmine. And like I said, I'm the person that's going to ask, no, what's the noise?
Right.
Like, what are we talking about exactly? But most people are just like, really? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. But no one said anything. No one has said, oh, this person doesn't pay attention to detail. They show up late to work. They haven't said anything explicit or any tangible thing. But now they put this idea in your head. So when you're in those calibration meetings around performance, or you're in those discussions where we're doing succession planning and identifying like our next up list, because yes, that happens in almost every major corporation, right? um, Someone just says, hey, Yeah, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise out there about Jasmine. Mm. Okay, maybe we don't want to put them as next up. And unless you have somebody that really is secure in their role, also a level of cultural competence, who is going to actually ask direct questions to get like true clarity,
Right.
true data points. Again, like those things you can, as you've witnessed, like from your perspective as an employee, you see like they're cleaning up Jim's desk, and then you're put together in a group meeting, a team meeting. Jim's no longer with the organization. He's
Right.
decided to pursue other opportunities. We'll be following up with you guys on his backfill. And everyone's like, wait, what happened to Jim? And that really happened. Like, those are true
Mhm.
stories. Um, the other thing, too, is that you also, again, like, we're all human. And like I said, those reactors, and, there comes a point where at some point, if you have somebody picking at you, you're going to get ticked off yourself, right? And, you might lash out and you might actually be in the right, technically, but it may be a blunder from a career
Yeah.
and upward mobility perspective. But are you in the right? Probably, because they've been effing with you.
Yeah, but
So,
that's back to that emotional intelligence too, and
yeah.
being able to endure that. And that's why it's better to nip it in the bud before you
Mhm.
kind of get to a place where you may do something that could jeopardize your career.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think enough people don't have enough conversations and get good mentorship too, because the other piece of it too is you need to make sure that you have allies on your side,
Yeah.
especially if you're in like a corporation, like a real corporation, where you're dealing with the office politics of it. Like, you need to have, who are your cheerleaders? So
Right.
when those closed door conversations are occurring, and so when someone does bring up, oh, there's a lot of noise about this person, then actually someone's in the room that is in high enough position that they're actually in the room, and they can begin to ask and question, like, what are you hearing? Because my experience with Jim has been different. I've been mentoring him for the last 6 months. And what I found is for him to be a very intellectual, intelligent person that has an in-depth perspective, really has a good business mindset intertwined with the technical depth and knowledge, that I think he's a great asset to this company. And that changes. And when I tell you faces get tight, honey, they get tight. Because how do you argue with your nonsense that you're trying to pull on this person? How do you argue against that with somebody that has real data
Yeah.
points,
Real proof. Yeah.
right? And they're not just talking about, oh, I don't know, oh, I've just heard some things, I don't
Hmm.
know, so you want to make sure that you are seeking out mentors and allies for yourself within the organization that have some stature within it, especially if you are somebody, a person of color, because that's a whole nother topic, right? Where people are like, oh my God, they're doing away DEI, oh my God. And again, so what are you going to do about it? Right? It's not there. Like I said, I did a show on my Lamborghini C channel and pull it again because look, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And like I said, for my community, we weren't the largest benefactors of it anyway. And
Right.
in some respects, I feel like it was used to weaponized against us. So when
Mm.
you would come into the office with a legitimate complaint, right, then there's data points to show, well, we're not discriminatory. We actually have a very diverse population. But then that's why you got to look beyond the surface. How diverse is it? It's diverse with what?
Yeah.
With white women.
Uh-oh.
You got an abundance of women in the role, so we're diverse, right?
Right.
Check. Our metrics check the box, but it's not getting at the core of having true diversity, right?
Right.
Among many different cultures, many different age groups, and things like that. And so, again, one of the ways, like for those people, instead of sitting on your hands and worrying and in these groups complaining and, constantly pouring that negativity into yourself and others, begin. So, you need to make a list. Who has pull within this organization? Who can I gel with? And you need to maybe connect with those folks and see if they would be open to being your mentor. And while they're your mentor, then you need to turn them into your ally.
Right.
That's how you work strategically. That's how you play the game. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's what I tell my son that all the time. It's with corporate America, it's a political campaign, and you're running that campaign every day when you go in
yes,
and you're saying, vote
yeah,
for me, vote for me, vote for me, right? And
yeah,
get as many people as you can on your side.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, when you get somebody that's your ally, right, or somebody that's poured into you, that's taken their time, that has voluntarily like mentored you, and they're pouring into you, and they're seeing like your growth, because that's rewarding to most leaders. Like that is more than money, to be able to see somebody or help them get to their dreams, especially when they actually listen to the advisement that
Advice
you're
you're giving,
giving
yeah.
them. That's going to make them go even harder for you, right? And then it helps edify them as well,
Right.
but in a way that isn't sleazy, with them saying, "Oh, I'm the best, I'm the greatest," but they're actually able to, by promoting you, um, and maybe sharing, or if it's widely known that, hey, I had this person under my wing, I was mentoring them, like it helps, pump up their, um, I guess social score or their credibility or their
Yep.
pool, because again, that's a living walking testament of how they're able to develop people.
Right.
And that's what it's about, like when you're in these leadership roles, is
That's
who
true.
can you develop? Like, can you identify talent? Are you able to plan appropriately? Are you able to manage the budgets? Do you know who does what great on your team, and are you able to delegate appropriately? But
Right.
where you don't have that talent, are you able to grow and develop it? Right. And that's just like, again, for that person, that raises their stock even higher.
So true.
So it becomes twofold, right? But I love it because it's like, it's on the premise of, again, because I would like to think people aren't going into it with that in the back of their mind. What am I getting out of it? But it's on the premise of like, how can I best help this person? How can I uplift this person? How can
Right.
I help them get to their dreams? But they're getting rewarded on the back end as well.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, again, like to your point earlier, like which side of the coin are you going to be on? Are you going to just worry,
Right.
worry yourself into bad health, worry yourself into not sleeping and into distress? Or are you going to become a little bit more strategic and actually end up in a better position
Right.
as a result of the change that you were fearing?
Hmm. But I think that's the bottom line, fearing change.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get out of that. You've got to get to a place where you can even start to lean in on change, right? And it's hard.
Mhm.
That's hard, and um it takes a certain mindset to get to a place where you can lean in on change.
Yeah. And I think that, like, especially as an entrepreneur, like there's levels and stages, and even like as a leader, like that you have to grow through, where you begin to welcome the change and welcome the pain, where you lean into it,
Yeah.
right? Because, like I said, this week has been hell. It's been a hell week, and it's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
What I tell you. But I was reminded earlier, because I know like how my life works, and I know I'm a spiritual person. I know how God works with me. So like when everything feels like it's falling apart, all these crazy things, because basically what's happening, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but basically what is happening, because sometimes I don't listen. God be telling me you need to move, you need to make a back move, and then I have to, let him blow off the spot. Like I need to make a move. I think I need to make a move, and but no, it's a reshuffling that needs to take place before what he's stepping me into.
Right.
And so, so again, like you can either step back because you're like, oh, that hurts. Oh, that fire is a little hot. I don't want to get too close. Or you can just, you know, go at it and run into the flames, right? And come out, you
So
know,
true.
better on the other side of
That's
it.
right.
And so, and I think we're going to see a lot of that, right? Like, again, I'm encouraged, like, over, with the years to come, because I know that there's going to be folks for whom change their lives greatly, change the trajectories of their entire families, their bloodlines. And, I am I'm excited for it. Now, do I also know there's going to be some people that are going to just stay down in the dumps, that are going to just be, completely negative and manifest the negative outcomes that they say they fear as a result of that. Yeah, like I do. I think we all know there will be some of that.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to also be those individuals that, again, are going to do phenomenal, fascinating things that are out of this world that we never could have even conceived being able to take place. And that I look forward to, you
Yeah,
know.
me too. Me too. I think that a lot of new exciting things are coming up.
Yeah, the tech, I mean, telling you the technology, and I marvel at these kids. Like, I would laugh about all the crazy antics and stuff that they would come up with. But at the same time, there's a few of them that are using their forces for good,
Mhm.
you know. Um, and it's fascinating to me. And yeah, like it makes my heart smile, and I'm like, wow, and I try to see, okay, like, is there something I need to learn additionally? How can I need to learn this. Like, who can teach me this? Who can, help me get up to speed on this, so that I'm not kind of left behind,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah. And I think that's the great thing too, is just keeping a love of learning and being a lifelong learner. It's so
Hmm.
important. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, did you have another topic on the list, or did we get through them?
Um, I think we had one more, but we might be close to time.
Yeah.
Probably should save it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, very good. I think this was a good discussion.
Me
Hopefully, it
too.
was informative, uplifting. Again, you guys just go, as Dick Gregory would say, go punch in Ibrahim Traore. You don't even have to spell it. Again, with this technology, you don't even have to spell stuff correctly, because it's going to automatically figure out what you're trying to look up,
Yep.
because he's been trending. Like I said, especially over the last month or so. And so, and again, like, that's motivational, to me.
It
Like, that's
is. It
all
is truly
this.
motivational.
Yeah, yeah. And and again, but also be real with yourself. And if you need to, go to get your board of directors for your life, go to those trusted individuals that can talk straight with you and let you know, like, how they experience you or how they've observed you. Like, I'm gonna share like a little kind of what can I call it? Not a task, but an exercise that you guys can do that can help you along that path. Um, Sit back and think about 5 individuals in your life that you interact with who experience you differently. So you may want somebody that may be a family member. There's going to be somebody that you deal with in business or work with. There may be a friend. There may be a spouse or significant other. Um, Go to them and ask them if they would. Now you have to be brave for this. And I did this. I'm not telling you something I haven't done before. And I was nervous a little bit when I did it. Go to them and ask them if they would take some time and write down 5 glow moments about you. This is the glow and grow exercise. 5 glow moments where they've experienced you um, really glowing, really excelling, really doing really well, or they've observed you working with others or interacting with others that they consider as like really positive traits and things that you emulate, and then ask them to make a list of 5 grow opportunities or grow moments that they've either experienced themselves or where they've witnessed you interacting with others. Now, in order to do this and to do it successfully and to be fair to the people that are willing to give you this invaluable feedback, you need to make sure that you resolve within yourself that you are going to let them be as transparent as they need to be and that you're not going to take offense to it.
Right.
You're merely using this data and these data points as opportunities to help you have a different perspective and even sit back after you review and read through these items, have some introspection of yourself. And again, I always tell folks with everything, you know, many different people have an opinion, right? And they're going to give you your opinion, and especially if you're moving and if you're successful. So you have to watch a little bit. Um, And so it's up to you to be able to discern and evaluate again whether or not the feedback is coming from a good place and whether or not you're at a point in your life where you even want to address some things. Because there may be some feedback that might seem negative that you don't necessarily want to tweak or change, right? Or maybe you want to tweak it and change it in some areas, but in not. And one of those examples may be, again, there's certain traits like they pick on, the little, what do they call them? The red pill guys or whatever
Oh yeah.
on the YouTube, um, the masculine energy women, right? Now, there's some arenas like in business where you need to have a level of that. So you might not want to tweak that all the way or completely walk away from, some of those traits. If you're able to be, if you have the knack and the tact to be a hard negotiator, again, that may work well in business, but it's not going to fare too well maybe in relationship or friendships and things
Right.
like that, right? So you have to, again, like as you're getting like this feedback and reading through it, or as people, like I'll tell you one of my feedback for the grow, which I knew I was going to get, um, was that sometimes I seem standoffish, right? And I know, like, I am an introvert. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
introvert for forced extrovert for business. So when I'm at the airport, um, and maybe I'm starting to grow out of it now because I'm just in a different space. But the reality is sometimes I don't want nobody coming up saying nothing to me, right? So I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Like the environment. But then also I recognize too, it is because of my introvertness that again, some folks may read it as like she's standoffish or she doesn't want to be approached. So again, like you have to take the feedback, right? And discern like, okay, where is this helping me and where is it hurting me? And do I care enough
Yeah.
to change it because I feel like it's a detriment in an
To my
area of my
growth.
life. So I
Mhm.
want to focus on it and actually tweak or change it, you know? And so I think that I have tweaked it a little bit in certain areas or arenas, and then others I haven't. Because, like I said, I don't want to be bothered. If I'm at the lounge, by the time I make it to the lounge and I'm sitting down and I'm eating and waiting for my flight, I'm trying to zone out sometimes because I don't have nobody asking me a question. I don't have anybody messaging me. Can you hop on a call real quick? Can you meet real quick? No, it's quiet time. I get to just be at peace with my own thoughts, you know. And so no, I don't want you. You don't need to come and ask me what I do for a living. I'm just know I'm in the lounge like you are. My company isn't having to pay for it. Or the company that I own is the one that's sponsoring it. Not because I work for somebody. But that's all you need to know. But
Crazy.
why?
You man.
You know I'm telling the truth.
It's true.
Yeah, so what do you do for a living?
They do get to asking
I already
questions.
told you, like I'm planning out tomorrow. My driver will be here in the morning early to pick me up. But to stay at home dog mom. That's why. Like, yeah, so what do you do for a living? I'm a stay at home dog mom.
Stay at home dog mom.
I am. I really am. If you ask Diamond, that's what she'll tell you. My little dog. I swear that's what she thinks. Because now, again, since COVID, like I'm at the house all the time with her working. And that little dog tries to run me. So yeah, in her mind, that's what she thinks. So that's what it is. So stay at home dog mom.
That is hilarious.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us again. Don't forget if you want to listen to the playback, you can listen to that on Spotify. Like I said last week, on that good commute into the office or that commute home, you can, turn it on, and hopefully, like again, you'll take away some nuggets. And again, like consider that Grow and Glow project or exercise
Yeah,
because I
that's
think I think
great.
it will be very insightful for you, right? See, I didn't gave y'all a gym. Sometimes when I'm coaching,
Yeah,
I'm
that's awesome.
some of my stuff. I done gave y'all some of my stuff. But yeah, but no, but this has been great. All right, until next time, we'll be back in a couple weeks, right?
Yep.
I think if we're gauging it right, yeah, the
18.
week of the 18th.
Yep.
And this is February. We finally got out of January. We're in
Yes.
2025, and I'm celebrating all month.
All
Okay, this
right.
is my birthday month, and so yes,
Yeah,
all month long, honey. Look,
that's it.
call me Lionel. But yeah, all right.
Bye bye. Have a great one.
Bye.